Controversy, yeah. Are you ready for some fun? Yeah. Are you ready for some laughs? Yeah. Come on and join Psycho 4081. It's the Hot Topix Podcast. It's the Hot Topix Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Hot Topix Podcast. I'm your host, Psycho 4081, and I have a special guest here, Mr. Aaron Barnett, who is the candidate for Baltimore County Council's 4th District. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, good afternoon, Brian, and thanks for having me.
Well, I know you guys have a really busy schedule out there on the campaign trail, and it's a whole new district, and I just got a chance to see the district lines this morning, and I was kind of taken aback by it. So I know you have a lot of work to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Indeed, we do.
So we're gonna talk about a few things. We're gonna have maybe 10 different subjects that our listeners or potential voters would want to know, and we're gonna talk about community and vision. I know you've been big in community as long as I've been in that area. We're gonna talk about public safety and crime, housing, development and zoning, economic growth and jobs, education and youth, transportation and infrastructure, taxes and county budget, accountability and leadership, hot issues, and personal and leadership character. So we're going to start with community and vision. And what is from your perspective, what is the biggest challenge facing District 4 right now? And what is the first thing you will work on if elected?
Well, first of all, Brian, I think the biggest challenge is just making our communities a little safer, creating real economic opportunities. My first priority would probably be bringing the stakeholders together. As you know from the past, I've done that on several occasions, holding joint community association meetings, including law enforcement, educational leaders, and leaders from the community to implement a coordinated safety and prevention plan. So by bringing all the players to the table, I think that would be the best way in the first place to start. Safer streets and opportunities go hand in hand, bro.
Absolutely. You and I both know that. So talk about safer streets. Residents in District 4 have expressed concerns about crime. What specific strategies would you support to improve public safety?
Well, for one, collaboration with the law enforcement agencies. For example, I've been you know that. I've been working with the police department for decades now as a community resident and an advocate for crime prevention. For example, on Liberty Road, let's say the shopping center, the strip mall down on Liberty Road, there was recently, as recent as 5 months ago, there was some individuals trying to set up a drug shop and drug activity. The police captain, along with the store owners and myself, got together and came up with a plan to shut it down before it actually got started. And because of that, we were able to prevent crime from seeping into the community. So I think that working in a coordinated effort with your local law enforcement and business owners is something that's imperative in order for us to keep our community safe. Okay.
So a little bit about your background. You were a community association president for years.
Yeah, I've been Powhatan's Community Association president since about around 2010. Man,
yes.
So You know as well as I do. You're president as well over there in your area, so you know the trials and tribulations of being an association president.
Yes, and it's very difficult getting people or stakeholders together. So that would be a huge accomplishment. So
Yes.
with the new district, and like I said, I gotta look at it, and let me see here. It runs from way over in your area, which is Powhatan,
Yes.
Woodlawn, and it goes way over to look like Towson.
Yeah, towards Green Spring on the other side of Green Spring Valley. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
definitely huge. Yeah.
So, in that regards, we've talked about before in different circles about the housing development and zoning. What would you do to ensure developments don't strain the roads, the schools, and the public infrastructure?
Well, dealing with the infrastructure, I definitely support responsible growth, but not at the expense of existing communities. Real impact studies ensures that developers will contribute to the roads, schools, and our infrastructure. As you know, especially after this big storm that we have, our roads are hideous. So that's something that we would definitely, because if these developers are going to come into our communities and they want to invest in our communities, then they're going to have to give back.
Right, I agree. Yeah, so and I guess that's basically having big investments and big businesses come in without using the resources and taking that money back out of the community.
Well, I'm definitely one that feels that the money should be recycled in the community first
Okay.
and foremost before it leaves out of the community. Now, as a union leader, I've always fought for strong working families and things that benefit people that are in the workforce, from McDonald's all the way up to corporate America. You know what I mean? It's just that we have to make sure that we have people in place that are going to fight for the rights of working men and women, and in the Baltimore County district. It's District 4 especially.
Okay.
It's going to be my district.
So when you talk about economic, the vitality of the community, what's your plan to attract more employers, small businesses, and job opportunities? And you're a union guy, so that's right up your alley. What was your plan to attract that to District 4?
Well, I'm a strong advocate for minority and small business owners. So, the thing that I find in talking to a lot of my associates that have small businesses or that are hooked up with the MBE, they have had problems with gaining access to contracts. You want to just basically simplify the procurement and provide technical support for these individuals so that they don't have to go through the rigmarole of having to sit there for a year or two just trying to go through the red tape to get their businesses up and running.
Okay, and I know particular in that area from, let's see, and I'm not sure if it goes all the way to Security Boulevard, but we've seen a lot of businesses come and go, and a lot of empty spaces. So could you do anything else to fill those spaces?
Well, we have to incentivize people by giving them opportunities to come in, and it goes back again to collaboration in the community. Where a lot of people in our area have been asking for better grocery markets, better
Right.
this, better that. But the thing is, Brian, you know as well as I do, at these community association meetings, there's a handful of individuals that attend the meetings that when my key is saying to people all the time, we have to be proactive and not reactive.
Right.
And so we have to invest in our people first. We have to improve access, like I say again, improve access to local contracts for businesses. And we have to give them to incentivize things. We're going to show them the benefit of investing in our community. But we have to also encourage the community to support local businesses. You
Facts.
know, we got a lot of people that go out of our neighborhoods to other areas to shop when we got a lot of people that are coming in the community that are struggling because people don't have access and don't know about them. One of the things that I like is the website that you have, with all of the area associations and information provided on the website. We've got a lot of individuals
Right.
in our community that are seniors, all right, and a lot of them don't use computers.
Right.
A lot of them don't. So what we do in Powhatan, and what I've done for the last 20 years, is we have a online version of the community events and what's going on around the town. But we also give a hard copy out monthly in the community through our block captains. We make sure that everybody stays informed in the community, as well as the business associations. We give them a copy as well.
Okay. And I know that's probably, speaking as a former community association president, that was probably one of the most difficult things to do with the variations in the age groups. You had to
Yes.
do a lot of different things. I know you and I had many conversations about that before.
Yes, we did.
So now I know you were big with youth because you have R Block, and
Yes. Yes.
is that still going on?
Yes, we opened our doors back in 2008,
Okay.
and our block stands for Removing Barriers, Limiting Our Community Kids Incorporated. For the last couple of years, uh, well, over the years, we've serviced a lot of the young people ages 8 through 18 throughout the community. But we're now currently in Baltimore County Public Schools as well.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, we service the third, fourth, and fifth graders at Powhatan Elementary School, so that's a good thing. And uh, Principal Butler at Woodlawn High School has asked us to come in. Well, we went to the oh God, it was at Newtown. They had a community schools forum,
Mhm.
and at that forum, oh my goodness, I got about a stack of cards from community schools advocates that want our program to come into the schools. Brian, you could have a million mentoring programs and still not enough.
Right. That's facts.
Yeah, it's critical. It's critical that we engage our young people and make sure that they have a reason to want to be conducive members of society.
Right. So we already knew that you were an advocate for the youth thing. We already knew that anybody who's been in that area, and obviously you have this partnership with the county schools. So,
Yes. I'm also the vice president of Woodlawn Recreation and Parks.
oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I've been coaching basketball. And look, if you could see me right now, I'm tapping myself on my back because, I coached for 20 years. I was also the athletic director and head coach at Gwen Lake Academy when that was about, and we were ranked number 2 in the nation.
Oh, wow.
But I've had, since coaching, I've had 6 national titles. And I came out of retirement last year because, of getting volunteers now, it's very difficult to get young people to come out and volunteer to just be out there and be supportive for our youth. They fell short last year on the coaches down at Woodlawn. And so they asked me to come out of retirement.
Ah.
So look, like I said, I'm sitting here patting myself on my back because I coached the 5, 6 year olds, and I came out of retirement, and we went in and won the championship.
Outstanding. So yeah, that, and you know what? I remember back some years ago. This is before they had the new the rec and parks facilities. How we used to go
Mhm.
there and meet some of the kids from the
Yeah.
neighborhood. So rec and parks, if people don't realize, has a tremendous impact on the community.
Yes, it does.
It one gets them involved, gets them active, gets them away from some of the things that the undesirable things that happen in the community.
All right.
So now, with your experience and what you're involved with now, as an elected official, how would you hold Baltimore County Public School leadership accountable for school performance, and also the big thing is budgeting?
Well, it's a budgeting with the school system. Now, that's been something that's been in the headlines a lot lately. The way that the funding is being advocated, I would have to really establish a relationship with the superintendent of schools and Baltimore County Public Schools just to see where the funds are being allocated and how they're being distributed. One thing about being an elected official is accountability. transparency is one thing. So the thing that I would do is I would partner with Baltimore County just to see where the needs, the assessment and the needs of our young people is needed the most. And I think that's where we would direct the funds.
Would
If
you
you
would you
recall,
consider that one of your strong points? Because I know with the organizations that
oh
you've
yes,
started and been a part of.
yes, sir. I'm a strong supporter of our youth and in education for our youth. One of the things that I'm a strong proponent is vocational training.
Okay.
You know, when I was in school, we had vocational training. Right now, Baltimore County has a school on the west and a school on the east. But the thing is, there's a waiting list that's a mile long.
Hmm.
You know, so you got children that are missing out on opportunities because I attended a forum years ago, and it was called Dress for Success. And at that forum, you had a lot of really, I'll say, professional people that gave the young people examples of what life really is all about. And one of the things that stuck in my head was the fact that there's a guy that owns a company called Russ Technology. He said he grew up right here in the Park Heights area. He's a multimillionaire, but he told the kids at that forum and that conference that not everybody is going to go to college.
All right.
Not everybody, is going to be successful. But the one thing with a vocation or trade, that's priceless. You know, you can come if we get vocational training or implement it somewhat back in the schools. You got kids that are graduate from high school able to sustain a family and a way of life by simply being able to do the job.
All
You
right.
got plumbers, you got auto mechanics, you got bricklayers. You know, we got automation that's coming in, and automation is coming in rapidly. That's one of the things that we fought against down at the port, at Port of Baltimore, replacing humans with robots.
All right. That's
But
a big thing. Yes.
yes, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the way of the world. The world's evolving, but vocational training is still imperative. You got people out here that have skill sets that's been a proven fact that robots don't do it faster. They don't do the job better. They just do the job without companies having to pay benefits.
Right.
You know, that's their way of getting away of paying working benefits for health benefits, pension plans. They're trying to eliminate that all simply by bringing machines in to replace human beings. And I'm definitely not an advocate for automation, but we know it's inevitable.
Right.
But like I say, vocational training and tech training in the schools is something that I'm a strong proponent for. I love to see kids doing things that are going to be that things that they're passionate at,
Right.
for one. Because the gentleman said at that meeting, if you follow your passion, if it's something, he said, and the thing that stuck to my mind was the fact that he was in school. He dropped out of school his second year of college, but he found while he was in college that he had a love for computers. So in doing that, he went to a vocational school, took up computers. Now this man has a multi-million-dollar corporation that's worldwide.
Wow. That's
You know,
that's
that was a powerful story, and I never forgot it. And so I encourage kids all the time. If it's something that you are passionate about, something that you enjoy doing, you're going to do it well.
right. I definitely believe that. Especially, you and I are both Navy guys, so
Yes,
we know
yes,
how
that's
that
right.
goes. So
That's right.
you're a lifelong resident of the Powhatan Woodlawn area, right?
Oh yeah, I've been here since '72.
72. Okay. When I
Yes,
was,
yes.
I ain't gonna tell how old I was back then, but so
Yeah, yeah.
now,
Yeah, I came here as a kid. I went to Woodlawn Middle, Woodlawn High School. In fact, I'm the president of Woodlawn High School Alumni Association.
okay, okay. So now you've seen a lot of different things over the years.
Yes.
And I think I got there around, I think 96. And I've seen a huge difference from 96 until now when it comes to transportation and infrastructure. So I don't know how difficult it is for people to get around in that particular area because I was an adult when I got there. So, but what are your top priorities for improving transportation in District 4, like the roads, transit, traffic, and pedestrian safety, actually? Because, we've seen some horror
Well,
stories also.
well, one of the things that I liked, and I recently saw, we're in Baltimore City. they have the bike and pedestrian lanes,
Hmm.
and in order for them to ensure safety for pedestrians and bike riders, they're installing cameras along the routes. So people that are caught in violations are going to be fined, and I think that's a great idea.
Oh,
You know,
traffic
yeah, because
cameras for
traffic cameras,
okay.
right, and the bike and pedestrian lanes, so that people that are caught violating, and I think it will, if enough people get enough, and I'm not one an advocate for traffic cameras, trust and believe, but when it comes to public safety, I think that is imperative that we put things in place that's going to make sure that the people that are on the streets and that are utilizing these things are protected.
Right.
So definitely reliable transit connects people. Reliable transportation also connects people to opportunity.
Okay. So now I'm going to go back to the camera thing, and I was never an advocate of the speeding cameras and the red light cameras or whatever. And I'm gonna tell you, and I was definitely not an advocate for them after I got my first 6 or 7, tickets. So,
I
but
know the feeling.
on the other side, I do understand that especially in our particular community, we had those constant complaints about the speeding through the area.
Right,
And right now it's like they have no fear.
right.
So would you be an, because I know there's a law that you can't put them in certain areas, but would you be an advocate to put to expand the use of speed cameras or red light cameras or whatever in communities?
Well, I would think more so of the. I know that there was a gentleman that used to work for Baltimore County, Keith Link. He retired.
Yes.
You remember Keith?
Yes.
But it goes back again to relationships. We call him up. They come out and they do a traffic study of the community to see if it warranted speed bumps.
Okay.
Speed bumps. They are a deterrent. They are definitely a deterrent to speed because nobody wants to tear their car up running through
Right.
the neighborhood. But Flannery Lane and a lot of the other streets that are in the communities, people use them as raceways.
Right.
So we have a lot of people that are complaining about that. So I think I would do more traffic studies to see where we could put the speed bumps as a deterrent as opposed to the cameras. Now,
Okay.
I agree that in school zones and areas, hospitals, school zones, they should be. They
Okay.
should be because you got people that are disabled that are near those hospitals, and you got school zones, you got small children. Yeah, you want to have people cautious about traveling at a great deal of speed through those communities in those areas.
Okay. Now, this is a question I have more or less for you because I don't know about it. Um, the only ways of transportation that I can recall in that particular area. Now, a little bit different because now you have a larger area that's massive and, and it goes across the county.
Hmm.
We have the bus, the we call it mass transit,
Hmm.
MTA, whatever. Is there any other forms of public transportation that they have out there? And if not, do you support expanding public transportation options?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a lot of people out here that don't drive.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. One of my aunts, lives over there off Rolling Road. And so, there's not a lot of traffic, and she's disabled. So she relies heavily on mobility. One of the things that I told her if I get elected, that I would definitely be on top of that mobility issue because a lot of seniors, I was at the dentist office about 3 weeks ago and I saw one of the ladies from my church sitting there and she said, "Oh, Brother Barnett, how you doing?" I said, "Yeah, I'm doing great, Miss Grace. How are you?" She said, "Oh, I've been sitting here waiting on mobility." I said, "Well, when I come out of the dentist office, if you're still here, I'll give you a ride." And when I came out of the dentist office, she was still sitting there,
Mm,
and she told me that she had called her daughter to come get her, that I didn't need to take her. But that That doesn't make any sense whatsoever for someone to have to wait 2, 3 hours for mobility to pick them up. So there's definitely got to be a better system in place with some kind of monitoring system to make sure that we take care of our seniors because there's no reason they paved the way for us, Brian. So
Right.
there's no way that they should have to be suffering out here and treated like they're being treated because people are just simply neglectful and not adhering to their feelings.
Yeah, and I think since you mentioned, I do recall no, I'm sorry, mobility vans and cars in my neighborhood for seniors, but I never understood like how often it was used, or how or where they even take you. I know they took you to the mall and stuff like that. Well,
Hmm.
in New Jersey, where I grew up, we had this thing called the jitney system, and they were like little tiny buses that ran really, really frequently, like almost like every 5 minutes it seemed, down certain routes that you can get on, and basically take you across the city. Is that something that they could do in Baltimore County?
Sure, they can have a trolley system
Okay.
in place. But the MTA, of course, has bus routes. That would be something that we would have to coordinate with the MTA. The transportation as to where, because you want accessibility.
Right.
Thing you want accessibility to transportation, and in order for people to have accessibility, we have to understand the needs. So we would have to do probably a few town halls where people can come out and actually express their desires for traffic improvements and transportation improvement, because the only way that we're going to be able to understand it fully is if we hear it from the people themselves.
Right. Now, since you were younger, let's say in your teenage years, I guess when you started getting around on your own, have you
Hmm.
seen much of a an improvement in transportation in that particular area?
What I've seen is through growth
Mm-hmm.
in the area that traffic has become horrendous on Liberty Road, for one.
Mm-hmm.
Ricerstown Road's another one in the Pikesville area. The traffic has always been hectic, and it's gotten worse. It'll take me anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes to go from Northern Parkway to Randallstown on a
Mm,
busy day.
right.
Now that's painful. That's painful. But me being that I grew up in the community, I know all the back roads.
Okay.
So 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 I avoid the traffic. I go around, go up the back roads, Windsor Mill. I have a lot of alternate routes that I choose to use in order to get where I need to get. And I can get there a lot quicker than the average person. But the average person using these roads, yeah, it's very difficult, and it's become a lot more difficult. Now that's something that has been a problem that I don't think anyone has been able to resolve.
Because the I guess the more people who are coming to the area, whether it be for
Yes.
employment with Social Security Administration, they open up different buildings, and
Yeah.
the new residential communities I've seen that's just popping up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the growth
Yeah.
itself of the community in the area. I know, when I moved here, I know you wouldn't know about that. When I moved around here, there was where that McDonald's is on Liberty Road. It was Price's Dairy. And everyone used to go there. If any of the old timers are on your podcast, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Fresh milk and donuts. I mean, it was great. It was a great place. It was a family, business, family run business, and everybody in the community loved Price's Dairy.
Okay. I don't think it's been around since I've been there.
Well, Gwen Oak Amusement Park was still around when we moved here.
Yeah. I heard the stories, and I know I saw some of the old pictures, and now Gwynno, obviously I use Gwynno Park quite often,
Hmm.
but just for people out there who might be listening who don't know, how Gwen Oak Park was in the past, can you elaborate about that? Because I only know when I got here it was only a park. There's an empty park with trees
Oh
and grass.
man. It was a complete amusement park. It had roller coasters, Ferris wheels, roundabouts. It had the whole 9 yards, man.
Wow.
Everything, anything, and everything that you wanted was right there at Gwen Oak Park. Yeah.
And it did it go away because of funding or
I think, there was a I'll say this, that there was a racial divide
Okay.
in Gwen Oak, and for the longest, African Americans um, weren't allowed to even come into Gwen Oak Park at one time. This was prior to me actually coming out, but I had heard the stories from my dad, my forefathers, how Gwen Oak Park was very racially divided. And when I came out, the park was opened up to everyone, but the park was old and decaying. So I think that instead of reinvesting in the park, I think they felt that it was just best to just tear it down. And also we had the flood back then. I think it was, if I can recall, Hurricane David, I think it was. Actually, along that Glendale area where you
Yes.
have the flea market,
Yes.
there used to be houses all along there.
Okay.
And when we had the flood, they actually were flooded out. The homes were flooded out. They literally had to come in and get them out of their houses with boats.
Really?
Yeah,
And
Gwen Falls.
so the county came in and bought all that from them, I
Yes,
guess. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Brecken Parks, we own Baltimore County Brecken Parks. We own that property now.
Okay. Now,
Hmm.
some of the things, I have a big social media presence, and I get in these discussions with people on different posts. One of the big things is taxes, and not so much the county budget, but taxes, which is obviously a huge part of the county budget. Now, where do you believe taxpayer dollars are being wasted, and what would you cut or restructure if you're elected?
Thing with me is, with taxes, just like contracts in the port, we have to see where the money is being allocated. Capital budget spending. There's too much right now. Currently, there's just too much bureaucracy.
Hmm.
We need more audits and efficiency. If we audited and knew where our money and taxpayer dollars are being spent, you got to be responsible first. We got to only raise taxes if they're absolutely necessary. The times are hard right now. People are struggling, and the last thing they want to hear is about their taxes being raised. And
That's a fact.
we're homeowners, Brian. So we know.
Right.
I bleed and I feel the pain of most of the constituents in the community because I'm one. I just look at my gas and electric bill and I cry every month. You know,
Woo.
so,
That could
so
be a whole entirely different episode just on that.
yeah. So like I said, the bottom line is just too much bureaucracy. We need to have strong audits, and that way, from that, we can find solutions as to where money should be allocated, which way money should be spending.
Right.
Because that thing, I'm a firm believer in concise and direct payments to wherever they're supposed to be.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is for people out there who want to know, no raise or no new taxes unless it's absolutely
That's
positively.
necessary.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm a taxpayer.
Right.
Trust and believe. Trust and believe. I don't want to raise taxes. I don't want to see anybody's taxes raised. And I know I'm going to be asked that question again.
Right.
But I'm a firm believer that, like I say, there's a lot of bureaucracy when it comes to the tax game. So we're told one day, I've said this, and quite a few people have heard me say this, right? Every 4 years, the dream merchants come out and and they sell us a bunch of dreams
Oh, okay.
about this pie in the sky, and then the day after the election they disappear. Now I'm not attacking or I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone, so I just wanted to set the record straight. But we know who they are, and like I've told people at town hall meetings that we've had, Brian, we've had our joint meetings.
Right.
I tell people all the time, our elected officials are the people that represent us, the people. They're here to work for us. They're supposed to be representing our best interests and needs. And if someone is in that office and they don't represent our best interests and needs, then they don't need to be in that office.
They got to go. Right. So okay, we're gonna get into that accountability and leadership. Now, one of the big things that people have been hammering about over the years is transparency. So how will you maintain transparency with residents and keep them informed? And that's a big thing because a lot of times people have, and for sure, when the complaints come in, they often blame people who are not really responsible. So
Right.
how will you maintain transparency with residents and keep them informed about your decisions that you make?
Well, excuse me, I just Bitten to my sandwich. I'm sorry. Well, the first thing we got to do is have clear communication with folks.
Hmm.
Town hall meetings are good. I don't think they have them often enough.
Hmm.
Um, I'll definitely be present. I'm already present. You know that. I'm
Right.
out here
Right.
and everybody's community association. I'm even at meetings on the east side where issues that are concerning residents on the east side
Right.
because they're union members. But I think that we should be consistent and engaged year round. This isn't something that's an occasional thing that our elected officials should do. I think that they should be present at community meetings. I think that if we have people that are for community service, for example, I have people that's my plan to have a constituent service uh, um, individuals that I hire that are going to be dedicated to nothing but strictly constituent services. I think that's important to be able to pick up the phone, call your elected official, and get results.
Okay. Okay.
But since COVID, a lot of people have used that as an excuse not to do their jobs.
Right.
You get all these lines. Well, call this person. That's not my department. Call that person. You'll be on the phone for 2 hours just trying to figure out who it is. For example, I had a tax issue. And I literally had to go down to Towson because I couldn't get the right person on the phone. And when I got there, I was sent to 3 different buildings.
Oh. Okay.
So it's something that I know that a lot of people that are listening feel my pain because they've been through it. I've experienced it, so I wouldn't want anybody to feel or experience anything that I wouldn't want for myself.
Okay. So now I know in your particular district, I believe you were in District 1, you was in District 2, and maybe
Dude.
District 4 at different times, right?
Yes.
which is kind of funny, but
Yes.
looking at your prior elected officials for your district, what will you do differently from the current or the previous representatives of your district?
Well, one thing I can say this is I won't make promises I can't keep.
Okay.
All right, I'll just leave it at that. All right. I won't issue any promises that I can't keep. One thing I do know that we have, and I know, well, I'll just say Mrs. B, and I know you know who we're talking about, right? She will not let you forget. If you if you come out there and you say you're going to do something, you better best believe that you better do it because she's going to definitely hold you to it. And there are a lot of Mrs. B's out here that will do just that. So, I want to be one that, like I say, through transparency and communication, if I say something, word is bond. If I tell you I'm going to do something, then I'm definitely going to do it.
Okay. So we had one of the guys that in my neighborhood, and I talked to him. I'm not gonna put his name out there. You know him. I know him. 'Cause I guess he knew you from back in the day. And I said, well, what would you vote for Aaron Barnett? Why would you vote for Aaron Barnett? You know what he said? He says,
No.
I've known him for a long time, and he said, if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it.
Well, that's a fact.
That's what the guy said. He said he knew you from back in the day, and it was like that's one of the things that he said about you as a person. So
Brian, let me tell you, man, I got to share this with you, and my wife, the young lady up at the bank there at M&T, the manager of the bank, she says, Mr. Barnett, I got to share something with you. I said, what's that? She said, a friend of mine lives in your neighborhood. And he called me and told me that some woman during the snowstorm knocked on his door at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, I need to find Mr. Barnett. and when my wife said, a woman knocked on the door looking for you. So, I'm so glad. Well, they called Baltimore County Police. She was, and that's another thing, mental health.
Oh yeah.
She had that. I'm a strong advocate for mental health services because, and getting back to that story, she had some mental health issues. They called the police. They were able to get her to a shelter and get her some treatment,
Okay.
which was good. But the fact that here's a person displaced at 3 o'clock in the morning, coming around the neighborhood looking for me to help her, and I'm not an elected official.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But she and people know that they can call me to get things done because I have just about every elected official, every dissident, every policeman. Well, you know that from working with me on speed dial
Oh,
from the
wait.
county executive on down.
Let me throw something in and see if you remember this. Letters being sent to community members with your name signed on it.
Yes. They had a few disgruntled neighbors that were at odds with one another. The only thing that saved me was they misspelled my
Right.
name.
I remember.
They used it to attack another neighbor and said it was coming from the president. And the only thing that saved when I looked at it, I said, "Well, that's not me. Who is this person?" Right? They misspelled my name, but I got it. And remember, I shared that with you,
Yeah,
Brian.
that was hilarious.
Yeah, but and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and this is from your president, Mr. Barnett. Right? I'm like, wait a minute, hey, that's not me. But yeah, it's something. And the sad part about it is these individuals don't attend association meetings.
Right.
They'll come out. We have, and if you have community leaders that are on the phone right now on the podcast, they all know we're all suffering the same thing. You got
Right.
the same handful of individuals in every community that are actually care about the well-being of the community.
Right.
You got people that come out, and the only time a lot of people come out to those meetings is when they address a concern that only concerns them personally.
Them, yeah. I learned that early on when it matter of fact, it wasn't your community. Some years back, I think it was like 2004 or whatever, when somebody they had a dispute and somebody threw a Molotov cocktail in one of the homes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that one, but man,
I know exactly where it was at.
the meetings were packed after that.
Packed. That's right.
Packed.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time it just started going steadily down or whatever. So yeah, that's
Right.
going to be something that's going to be
Right.
challenging
A major
to address.
crime.
Yeah.
A major crime occurred. You
Yeah.
remember when the young man was with the homicide on Liberty Road at the gas station?
Yes.
It was standing room only
Right.
at the next meeting.
Right.
And the first thing they said out of their mouth is, "What are you going to do about this?" And I said, "What am I going to do?" Right? No. It goes back to the thing with public safety again, community engagement.
Right.
I get calls when they tried to establish that little nightclub down there. We shut that thing down. You remember?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was getting calls at 1 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Barnett, there are cars parked in front of my house. And well, of course, with coordinated effort, we went down and had officers go down and issue citations
Right.
to all the cars that were illegally parked. We eventually shut the activities down because they didn't have a liquor license for one. And they were serving alcohol, and eventually it came to closure. But that, again, comes back to community cooperation.
Right. The question for you, District 4, does that include Security Square Mall?
No.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so
No.
I'm going to put that. All right, so I'm going to have a question about that anyway, because as a county council person, I guess you would have some skin in the game with this one. What is your position on that whole Security Square Mall redevelopment situation? Like, in what do you think the county's role should be with that, or if any?
Well, I think that if we transform it into a economic hub with jobs and opportunity, I think better planning, aligning growth with the infrastructure and the schools in the area, we could probably just expand access to, say, for example, mental health services. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Healthy communities are strong communities. So we could utilize that space by putting things in that area that are going to be beneficial overall to the community.
Okay, so you're definitely for the county taking the lead and getting that thing fixed up and.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right now, I've been to a lot of meetings. It's an eyesore.
Right.
It's an eyesore. That's not just here in Security Mall. It's happening all over America.
Right.
You got malls that are in communities that are economically deprived, and because of that, they're shutting down. Based on the demographics of the area, that these business owners are saying that there's not enough residual income in the area for them to sustain these stores being open. So, okay, then let's just change it and do something that's going to be conducive for the community.
Okay. Okay. Um. So I'm gonna wrap this up because I know we spend a lot of time. So one of the things that we talk about with elected officials, whether it be the legislature or the executive, especially now these days, what personal experiences shaped your desire to run for office?
Well, to be honest with you, I ran for state delegate, if you recall, some years ago,
Yes.
and I lost that race by 17 votes. And I've always told our elected officials that, I called my opponent, which was Senator Sidnor, was delegate at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him, I said, Charles, I only ran simply because I strongly feel that anyone that's in that seat should represent the best interests of our community, and I feel that they should be from the community.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And I said, I'm glad that you won and that one of us won. I called him that night to concede, and I told him, I said, look, as long as you do what's right by our community, then I'll back you 110%. So when the redistricting came about this year, many people know that I went out and I testified at the county council hearings, and I was pushing for a Woodlawn district.
Okay.
I was advocating for a Woodlawn district because time and time again, systemically, the associations or the communities below the Beltway, I strongly feel, have been neglected
Right.
when it comes to spending and allocating funds. For example, Ramstown's getting another community center. You know,
Yeah. That's yeah.
you, you know,
And library.
so and library.
Yeah.
So but again, it goes back to people being proponent. You got to be proactive as opposed to being reactive, and that's what we always get. We get reactions after it's done. That's going back to government and transparency again. Decisions are being made, a lot of decisions are being made, because for one, this whole redistricting process was a ball of confusion.
Mm.
So many people, including myself, when I went to
I
file,
know I was
I was,
confused.
yeah, when I went to file, I was filing to run in District 2. Because I didn't know that and I was informed by someone, no, you're no longer in District 2, you're in the new District 4. So I said, well, when did that come about? And sure enough, I went to the Board of Elections, and this is where my district is, the new District 4. So,
Yeah, they did roll that out pretty late.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
I
yeah,
know it was in litigation and all that other type stuff.
yeah.
All right, so final question for you,
Mhm.
which everybody would want to know: why should District 4 voters trust you to be their councilman?
You say, why me?
Yes, why you over your competitor?
Well, for one, I'll say this. My life of service, from the Navy to the community, kind of prepared me for this moment. I've been actively engaged in our community for well over 30 years. And I've been told in the past, that I take on too much. But I've learned to prioritize and lead effectively. My regular presence at community meetings, events, and direct communication is one of the reasons why I feel that people should trust me to do the job in Towson. Because for one, I've already been doing the work. I'm not new to this community. I've been serving it. And trust is earned, and I feel that I've earned it.
Okay, good answer. So I want to thank. That's going to be on my soundbite, by the way. so so thank you for taking time out. I know your schedule is super busy. Well, your schedule has
Oh
always
my
been super
goodness.
busy, so
Yeah.
that's nothing new.
Well, in closing, I ask that the constituents that are in District 4 help me to help you. You can go to my website. It's abforthepeople.com. And again, that's abforthepeople.com.
Okay, that's A B
Yes.
F O R
Yes.
Thepeople.com. Okay, so you guys
Thepeople.com.
go there, check him out. You can see what his platform's all about. I'm sure they can donate on there as well.
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes, definitely. We definitely.
And money runs elections. So,
Yes, it does.
but again, thank you for coming out. And for
And
those
thank
who are
you for having
listening,
me.
we have our word of the day is going to be Powhatan, or as what was the principal over there at the school?
Dr. Montgomery,
No, the one that was there for years before.
Mr. Parker, Dr. Montgomery,
It
and
was
then you had
it was a woman.
oh God,
She was
yeah,
there
well,
for
you got
years.
that was Dr. Montgomery,
No, I know.
Deborah Montgomery.
No, before her. It was before her. Before Parker. I forgot her name.
Oh, Stokes.
Stokes.
Jasmine
Yes,
Stokes.
yes,
Yes, Jasmine
yeah.
Stokes.
I remember
Yeah,
she
yeah.
corrected me. She says, "It's not." Because we call it Powhatan. She's like,
Right.
it's Powhatan.
Powhatan.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
that's going to be our word of the day. Spelling does not count. So if you guys, for every episode, if you get all the words of the day for the episodes in, I guess this is March, you'll have an opportunity to win a prize. And you just email Hot Topix, that's HOTTOPIX podcast@gmail.com with those words of the day. And the first one who gets all the words of the day wins the prize. But thank you. And as closing, I have a song that I wrote. I'm throwing in there. I'm plugging myself in every episode now. So take care, and you can follow this on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, iHeart, whatever, or you can go to our website at hottopixpodcast.com or houseofotem.com. But thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
No matter how hard it gets, no matter what we do, no matter how long it's been, I'm still in this with you. Let's say it again. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what we do, no matter how long it's been, I'm still in this with you. Still in this with you. I'm still in this with you. Still in this with you. Baby, I wanted to fix all that what was wrong. Yeah, these problems kept me up all night long. Oh no, I tried to do what a good woman should do, yeah. Yeah, I tried to take care of both me and you too. I refused to let us live in poverty, no. Ooh, but it seems I'm failing so miserably. Oh, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what we do, no matter how long it's been, I'm still in this with you. Let's say it again. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what we do, no matter how long it's been, I'm still in this with you. Still in this with you. Oh, I'm still in this with you. Still in this with you. I heard some people say that love can fix it all. Well, the love and money sets us up for the fall. Maybe I kept trying to do more than I could, but I believe that things will always turn out good. I need you to have patience and truly believe if I love you and you love me, we can achieve others do. Our options open.